He always swears he's the one in control. That's the first lie men tell themselves. They walk around with this cartoonish belief that commitment is some grand strategic decision they arrive at after deep reflection, stoic self-analysis, and the ghost of their father whispering wisdom into their ear. Nonsense. A man decides to lock a woman down, like a man decides to stop at a red light. The decision is forced upon him by circumstance, pressure, and the sudden fear of collision. And that's where the story begins, with fear, not love. Let's not pretend romance is the engine here. Commitment doesn't erupt from a poetic meadow. It crawls out of the psychological trenches where his ego, insecurity, and desire for control all wrestle in the mud. That's why men spend months, sometimes years, bluffing that they're not ready, not looking for anything serious, or my personal favorite, just focused on myself right now. They recite these lines like overworked actors in a low-budget play. Every woman has heard them. Every man has delivered them. It's practically a rite of passage. But what actually makes him shift? What makes the man who couldn't define the word commitment, even with Google Maps, suddenly decide he needs to seal the deal? You'd be surprised how unromantic the answer is. It's not about her kindness, her patience, or her beauty. It's about psychological leverage. The invisible hand dragging him into the realization that he's no longer calling the shots. That's the hook no one wants to admit. Men commit when they sense the game slipping out of their hands. And the first hint of that loss of control? When a woman stops orbiting him. There's a moment, subtle, almost imperceptible, when she withdraws just enough to make him feel the temperature drop. She's not cold. She's not distant. But she's no longer tethered to his whims. She's no longer performing emotional CPR on the situationship he's been lazily maintaining. She stops chasing clarity. She stops reminding him of what they could be. She stops feeding him the maternal comfort of emotional reassurance. And suddenly, he realizes he's no longer the sun she orbits. He's just one planet in her solar system. Maybe not even the brightest. That's when panic sets in. And if you think panic is too strong a word, consider the research. Behavioral psychologist Dr. Ethan Cross found that the same neural pathways activated during physical pain light up when someone feels excluded or uncertain about their social connection. Emotional ambiguity, especially the kind that threatens one's perceived value, produces the same cortisol spikes as actual bodily harm. A man sensing a woman's decreasing emotional investment isn't merely concerned. His brain is registering a threat, a wound, a hit to his survival programming. And nothing motivates a man quite like a threatened ego. Not love, not passion, ego. The moment he realizes she could walk away, not dramatically, not with slamming doors or Hollywood speeches, but silently, effortlessly, gracefully, that's when he feels the trap door open beneath his feet. He can feel her slipping, and suddenly every molecule in his body is screaming to regain ground. That's when he stops playing seasonal boyfriend and starts drafting long-term plans in his head. He fantasizes about exclusivity, like a medieval king fearing the neighboring empire's advance. He starts imagining someone else replacing him, filling the role he thought he had on reserve like a parking spot. And to anyone insisting that doesn't understand the psychological underbelly of commitment, one-on-one coaching is available, where I offer guidance. This is my act of generosity. I'll pin it in the comments of this video, like a dark little invitation to explore the underworld of human nature. But we'll return to that. Right now, We're looking at the shifting tectonic plates inside a man's mind as he faces the possibility that he is not as indispensable as he assumed. His certainty dissolves. His options stop feeling infinite. The world that once felt like an open buffet of romantic possibilities suddenly narrows before him. That's when he realizes something women have known for centuries. Timing is the invisible puppeteer of every relationship. See, a man doesn't commit because he meets the best woman. He commits because he meets the right woman at the precise moment his psychological defenses weaken. It's timing that breaks the spell. It's timing that cracks the armor. There are a few signals that make him snap into commitment mode, though he'll deny every one of them. The first, she becomes unpredictable. Not chaotic, not dramatic, just subtly, quietly unworried about what he thinks. She's the woman who doesn't reshape her schedule around his last-minute plans. She doesn't twirl like a circus act for his attention. She doesn't panic if he takes a little longer to reply. She has a life, a full, thriving, textured life, and he can feel it. He can feel the gravitational pull of independence, and it terrifies him in the way only freedom can terrify someone who's used to being needed. He suddenly realizes she's not chasing him. She's not even trying to keep him. And that's when the male psyche does something delightfully predictable. It switches from leisure mode to hunt mode. But not the romantic hunt, the existential one. Because deep down, men know this truth about themselves. They don't commit out of abundance. They commit out of fear of loss. Women hate hearing this, but it's not an insult. It's an observation carved from centuries of human behavior. Men don't move because of what they have. They move because of what they might lose. They value what pulls away. They solidify what threatens to disappear. In this case, the disappearance isn't literal. She's still there. But her emotional availability is no longer guaranteed. Her validation is no longer automatic. She's not ending things, but she's no longer investing beyond what he reciprocates. That terrifies him more than any rival man could. In this universe, even the most self-proclaimed alpha male is forced to face a grim truth. He wants what feels unstable, not chaotic, just not promised, not secured, not easily won. The kind of woman who could leave, but chooses to stay. The kind of woman who is not impressed by his charisma or his non-committal confidence. The kind of woman who doesn't collapse into attachment the moment he offers attention. She becomes the rare commodity in a world of emotional desperation, and men always chase rarity. This is the pivot point, the psychological fulcrum, where the "I'm not ready" man becomes the "so what are we" man. The shift is immediate, sometimes violent. One minute he's breezily pretending the future is far away. The next, he's imagining their kids' names, their mortgage rate, and how jealous his ex would be if she saw them together. Men love to pretend this is romantic clarity. It's not. It's ego-driven survival. But we're not done. Not even close. Because what truly makes a man decide to lock a woman down isn't just fear of losing her. It's the dawning horror that someone else might understand her better than he does. He's not just afraid of losing her presence. He's afraid of losing her story. And that's where things begin to get interesting. There is a moment, and every man knows exactly when it happens, where the calculus of commitment crystallizes into one singular fear. She might actually be better off without me. Not in a melodramatic, heartbroken, poetry in the rain way. In a cold, strategic, animal brain way. The kind of realization that makes him sit up straighter and reconsider every lazy assumption he has made about her loyalty. Because up until now, He assumed her loyalty was a default setting. That's where men delude themselves the most. They think loyalty is the starting point, not the reward. They assume a woman's devotion is baked into the interaction simply because he's present. They believe consistency is optional. They believe effort is negotiable. They believe they can hover, half invested, indefinitely. That illusion dies the first time he realizes she is no longer studying him. She is observing him. And the difference between the two is fatal. A woman who studies a man is invested in understanding him. A woman who observes a man is evaluating whether he's worth the investment. Observation is the kiss of death for any man who has grown accustomed to being adored. Because when she switches from emotional engagement to quiet, measured distance, he senses it on a level older than language. His ego opens one tired eye, looks around the room, and finally understands. He is no longer the center of her emotional economy. She is not dependent. She is not nervous. She is not waiting. She is simply watching. And he knows exactly what that means. It means she's deciding. It means he is not guaranteed the part. It means the audition never ended. He just stopped performing. This is when a man begins what I call the subconscious defense campaign. He wouldn't admit it even under oath, but he starts quietly vetting the threat of losing her. He replays every moment where he underestimated her. He reevaluates the things he dismissed. He revisits every assumption he had about her attachment. And then the final, most humiliating realization hits him. She's not asking what I want anymore. That sentence alone has launched more men into sudden monogamy than love ever has. Because when she stops accommodating his pace, stops filling in his emotional blanks, stops smoothing the edges of the situationship, stops carrying the romantic labor, and simply lets the connection live or die on his efforts alone. He feels the weight of his own inconsistency for the first time, and it is heavier than he expected. Suddenly, commitment isn't a trap. It's a lifeline. He starts imagining the alternative, watching some other man reap the loyalty he took for granted. Someone else making her laugh, making her feel safe, making her feel understood. Someone else listening more attentively. Someone else texting more consistently. Someone else giving her what he rationed out like a scarce commodity. Men are competitive creatures at their core, and nothing triggers that instinct like the threat of replacement. Not an actual rival, just the possibility of one. The abstract silhouette of a man who could give her more. That's when his brain starts rewriting history. She's rare. She's different. She's not like the others. She gets me. I'd be an idiot to let this go. This is not romantic revelation. It's ego-driven survival, dressed in poetic vocabulary. And the more self-aware men, the ones who pretend to be emotionally intelligent because they've listened to 2 psychology podcasts, will disguise this survival instinct as emotional clarity. They'll tell their friends, something just clicked. Yes, something clicked. His panic response. And right on cue, he enters the final evaluation phase. The last bit of mental gymnastics before he convinces himself he arrived at commitment through logic instead of fear. This phase has 3 components. Loss probability assessment. He asks himself, if I don't act now, how quickly could I lose her? Spoiler. His answer is very quickly, even if she hasn't gone anywhere. Replacement anxiety. He imagines her attention shifting to someone else. This alone can override 8 months of indecision in about 8 seconds. Irreplaceability. Index. He finally recognizes her value not as a concept, but as a contrast against what he knows is out there. Chaos, mediocrity, boredom, superficiality, people with the emotional intelligence of unbaked dough. And then he commits. Not because he's suddenly brave, not because he's suddenly wise, not because he's suddenly ready. He commits because he finally understands she is not a renewable resource. She is a scarcity. She is a risk. She is a woman who can choose him, but does not need him. And that difference forces men to evolve faster than any self-help book ever could. When a man commits, he is not choosing certainty. He is submitting to risk. Risk of inadequacy, risk of vulnerability, risk of losing control. But above all, risk of losing her. And so he does the thing he once claimed he wasn't ready for. He locks it down. He chooses her. He trades possibility for stability. He trades freedom for connection. He trades ego for partnership. And he'll pretend it was his idea the whole time. If you enjoyed this fictional little psychological autopsy, hit subscribe. It tells the algorithm that you like content that doesn't coddle emotions or sugarcoat human behavior. Drop a comment below about which part of a man's commitment process surprised you most. I actually read them. They're the only form of unpaid entertainment I have left. And again, let me remind you, coaching offer is pinned in the comment and description, where I help women master the game and stop wasting time on unserious men. My landing page is in the description and pinned comment, complete with a free PDF and an exclusive bonus video. You can join my newsletter for weekly strategy breakdowns. And of course, my upcoming course, The Feminine Game, is available for pre-order.